The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. So, Adam, another birthday we need to celebrate this week.
Okay, well, yeah, my son turned 16 yesterday.
Oh.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
No, but that's a good one. Happy birthday, Simon. How are you, buddy?
So just be aware, northwest suburbs of a new driver on the road. So
buckle up.
He hasn't taken his test yet, but will do in the next few days.
No, the birthday I was talking about, November 1st, 1884. Happy birthday to Leicester City.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Good
140
stuff.
years old today. And I went and did some research on the old rosters and everything, some of the people that have played there. Do you know who was the first striker of Leicester City?
Jamie Vardy?
It was Jamie Vardy. Damn, you stole my joke.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
You stole my joke. Yes, it's true. Speaking of a joke, I don't know if you caught any of the Ballon d'Or ceremony yesterday. It was on television. I watched it on Paramount.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I'm glad you watched it.
Yeah, they brought in an old winner, Weah, the African, came in and they asked him who his favorite player was, and he said Harry Kane. So I did not see that coming. Harry Kane, not one of the finalists. The finalists were all, I believe, Spanish players. So, who was the winner?
Well, the winner of the Ballon d'Or in terms of the men's side was Rodri for Manchester City.
Right.
So definitely a worthy winner.
He had to be helped up to the stage because he just had knee surgery.
Exactly. So he's going to be out the rest of the season. So I don't think he's going to repeat.
No.
That's for sure.
No.
So it's like one and done, I think, for him. And then on the women's side, actually, it was Bonmati, who was from Barcelona. I was just looking at what she won last year. I mean, it's like amazing. She won every single trophy possible. Yeah. I think they called it the quadruple. The Spanish League, Champions League, the Supercopa, the Copa del Reina, and then obviously the World Cup, right? So if you kind of add that into everything, so like pretty amazing stuff.
So there was also, if I'm not mistaken, a little temper tantrum thrown by one of the biggest clubs in the world. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think there was people were a little bit upset there in Real Madrid because they felt like they weren't necessarily respected as much as they should, because I think they believed that Vinicius Jr. should have won the award. And I think you could definitely make a very good case for him to win.
Yeah.
But what was frustrating was the team won, so they were the best team, obviously Champions League winner. They had the best coach.
Right.
So I kind of see their point a little bit. You've got the best coach, you've got the best team, but you don't have the best player. I'm kind of with them on that a little bit, but still, you still show up, you respect the winners, and how that goes. But
it's not like Manchester City you just kind of squeaked through this past year. You know what I mean? They're pretty dominant, and Rodri did win the European Cup as the captain of Spain, right?
True, definitely, and you could definitely argue, when Man City played Real Madrid in the Champions League, that Man City should have won. So,
right.
Yeah. 6s and 2 3s, as my dad used to say. So it's all the same thing.
Oh, dads. They're all the same. Let's talk about the big news in the Premier League this week, and that is something that we've been kind of predicting or waiting for the last, year or so, and that is Manchester United finally pulled the plug on Erik ten Hag. Not a surprise, but kind of a surprise in terms of the timing of it, because they did in the offseason give him whatever he wanted, right? He got to bring in his coaches. He got to, if he wanted players, they went out and got those players for him. And then after 9 games, they had scored 8 goals and set in 14th place. And I really, no one can really say they shouldn't have done this. I mean, it had to happen, right?
I think so. I think at this point, I think they were going to give him probably 10 games, maybe. They just pulled the trigger now with 9. They've got an interesting game this weekend, which could be the game of the week, but you never know. So there you go. But the interesting part is, and I think I was listening to somebody talking about this. This gives you an idea of how low Manchester United are. If Manchester United loses this next weekend, they could fall down as low as 16th place in the table.
Wow.
They are almost in the relegation zone.
Wow.
So, isn't that crazy?
It is.
So thinking about that, thinking about obviously that, I mean, there's a lot of games left, but then again, if they win, they could just be, 3 points out of 5th place. So It's still close, but ultimately, yes, they had to do something. The crowds, the fans, everybody was getting on their case. It was time to take a change, and I think it's time. It's time to move on. The money is spent.
I think I can identify the exact moment they made the decision.
Okay, go for it.
And it was in the post-game interview with Ten Hag after the game. They asked him, what he thought about the game, and he said, "We played great." And they lost to West Ham. And, it doesn't matter that you think that they played well, because it's all about wins and losses, especially in the Premier League.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Playing well doesn't mean anything unless you are, Manchester City, as you know, you're always winning all your games. But ultimately, like you said, it's there's a lot of discussion about what they want, who they want, where they want to move forward with, what type of a manager should come in. Would you take what style of play and all those types of things. Ultimately, they just got to get back into winning ways, because Manchester United is no longer the team that everybody feared years ago.
Yes, for sure. On an interim basis, it's Ruud van Nistelrooy. He'll be the coach. He was on the staff there already.
Right. He was one of the assistants brought in. Yeah. Right. So it's amazing. He's ready to jump in. It was as if they knew what was going to happen ahead of time.
Yeah. But I think by the time this show drops on Friday, we may have an idea of who they're going to hire. There's rumors that it might be someone in Portugal. Have you heard this?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Sporting Lisbon's boss, Ruben Amorim. The discussions that I think they've already had discussions with him already. He's the top hot manager right now. And you could argue so was Erik Ten Hag. He was the top manager at the time too. So all the time, it's always a gamble whenever you look at it. I've also heard of your old German Borussia Dortmund manager, Edin Terzic. Is another potential. And Thomas Frank from Brentford is also another potential. Yes, which is interesting, kind of going back into that. So it could be a whole bunch of different people. Maybe they keep on Ruud van Nistelrooy. That could be another option. He has managed before. He guided PSV to a couple of championships. So you just never know. Okay.
Well, there it is. I think most Manchester United fans are happy about this move. And they're also, I think, realistic about what's going on there. Based on the last, 5 managers, no one's really been able to unlock this secret here that Ferguson built all those years.
Yeah, exactly right. Nobody's been able to do it, and don't and we all feel bad for people to lose a job, but don't feel too bad for Ten Hag. He did sign a contract. He's going to get paid the rest of the year out. He's going to be okay. He'll be okay financially. He's not going to be having to move out of his apartment or anything like that anytime soon. So I think he'll be okay for the next year.
Okay. Well, let's talk about what's happening on the pitch. And the and looking at the table, Guess what happened? Despite some injuries to key players, we already talked about Rodri being out for the year. Kevin De Bruyne has been out. They've had some not that impressive performances against like Southampton last weekend. They only won 1-0. They barely beat Wolves. But here they are. Look who's at the top of the table again.
Amazing. Yeah, Manchester City, as per usual. And the only team that hasn't lost a game yet.
Do you think that they're just going to stay there now and everyone else is just chasing again?
It's a great question. I think people are going to catch up. I think it's definitely. I think they're going to draw some more games. I think it's going to be a really hard time for them to lose games. I mean, they might go a whole season without losing. That could be an interesting prediction, and we'll see how far that goes. I think they'll draw a bunch more, but it's the only way that people are going to catch them is if they draw, more than what they should, if they get pulled back in some games. But I think, it's theirs to lose at this point. I think, you've got Liverpool who are doing okay, although you could argue didn't play as great as they have done recently in the game this past weekend.
Yeah.
And then you got the rest. I mean, I would say it's probably going to turn into maybe a 3 to 5 team horse race, I think, right now.
So let's talk about that other game. You mentioned it briefly there, Liverpool versus Arsenal. You picked that as your game of the week, and it was a pretty good game. Did you watch it?
I was listening to it. I was driving back from beautiful Iowa, but I was listening to the game, and then obviously got to watch the highlights. I actually like listening to games on the radio a fair bit, which was quite fun. So, but yeah, it was pretty exciting because we was listening as the goals kept on going in. Yeah.
And Arsenal, and I say this as a Liverpool fan, Arsenal obviously outplayed Liverpool in that game. And there were periods of time where, 15, 20 minutes where Liverpool looked like, a second-rate team. But they have so much talent on the team that it just takes a couple moments of brilliance. And when you got a Mo Salah on the team, it's going to happen, right? You're just kind of waiting for it to happen. And you know that all Arsenal fans were watching that game going, they're going to come back and tie it. I'm telling you, they're going to come back and tie it. And that's exactly what happened. 2-2 draw, and definitely worthy of the game of the week.
Yeah, definitely. Set pieces was the order of the day.
Yeah.
Both teams scored one and certainly Bukayo Saka, he misses a game through injury. You can see how much he means to that team. He, to me, is, without Odegaard, he's their best player. No question. He's the one that makes it. And I think makes a huge difference in that team.
I was watching their defensive techniques in that game, and the wingers, Saka and Martinelli, they both come back and defend pretty vociferously, especially when they're going up against big time stars like Mo Salah and Luis. Luis. On the other side, right? Yeah, the two of them. It was, they're usually let to roam free, right? And when that happens, bad things happen. But Arsenal have two guys that could run all day long, and that's Martinelli and Saka. And they went back, and they were constantly double teaming those two guys, and that was pretty impressive.
Bukayo Saka, the more I watch him, the more I just amazed at his talent. Like you said, his level of defensive work is unprecedented in terms of what he does. And I think that's what sets him apart from the other outside midfielders. You put other players out there, they're all good on the ball, but they don't track back like he does. And I think part of that is because he started as a defender too. So there you go. A tip for all of those coaches out there who listen to this: play your players in different positions, because Saka started as an outside back. Now he's one of the best outside midfielders. There you go.
And the other thing about him is he is a humble guy. I saw him interviewed afterwards, and they were trying to get him to say, he's a superstar, that sort of thing. And he's like, no. I'm just trying to be as good as I can every game, and that's it. You could tell that he really means it.
Yeah, definitely. Very humble, good player. I mean, I would even say a great player, and he's on the rise. It's only going to benefit Arsenal down the road as well as England, hopefully for future tournaments.
All right, so I'd like to bring in weird stats for you, and this is definitely the weirdest of all of them. The AI was unleashed on the Premier League this week, and they they asked AI to make a list of the best looking, the most attractive Premier League players based on whatever AI decides is the most attractive. Okay. And I want to go over the top 5 with you, see if you can guess who they are. You ready?
Okay.
So number 5, best looking man in the Premier League is somebody that we've had as one of our guest of Premier League stars before. He has one name that sounds like 2.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Joe Linton from Newcastle, number 5. Number 4, former captain of your favorite team, now playing for Arsenal.
Oh, okay.
Jorginho.
Ooh.
Number 4. Don't quite get that one, but okay. Number 3, a player that plays for Southampton. His name is Ryan Manning. Do you know what he looks like?
He's obviously very good looking.
Yeah, well, he's the third. He's the third best looking man in the entire league. But here's my favorite one. All right, at number 2, one of my favorite players in the whole league, Jamie Vardy from Leicester City, listed as number 2. And now it's your turn to try to guess who is considered the most attractive man in the entire Premier League.
Knows. I have no idea who would idea.
You don't want to be on record saying you think they're a good-looking man, all right?
Well, that's the thing. If I say somebody, everybody say, "Oh, you think he's good-looking?"
I'll give you a hint. He's on Arsenal.
Okay, let's go with Bakary Saka.
No, it's Declan Rice. Declan Rice considered the best-looking man in all of the Premier League, according to AI. So there's a stat you're not going to get everywhere else. Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the soccer community in Illinois since 1975 and has a strong history of credibility. Illinois Youth Soccer is a non-profit corporation, official state association, and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the Olympic Development Program, and U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org.
And I can't believe Cole Palmer's not on that list. With that beautiful haircut of his.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's just outside the top 10. Maybe.
Just outside it. All right, it's time for this feature.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
Okay, I think you're going to do pretty well on this one, but let's see what you do. All right, this week's Premier League star is 24 years old, and he's a striker, a number 9. All right, so these are the ones that everyone knows.
Okay.
Right now, his team is a mid-table team.
Okay.
Before coming to the Premier League, he played professionally in 2 different countries, both of which speak the same language, his native tongue, and it's not English. Mm-hmm. He has only scored 2 goals this year for his club, but one of them got a draw against a top 4 team recently.
Number 9, mid-table team.
All right, I just mentioned Joe Linton. He has 3 things in common with Joe Linton. He's from the same country, same national team, and one other thing.
Do they play on the same team?
They do not.
Oh. So same country. So Brazilian, number 9. They speak the same language.
They do.
So it's got to be Portuguese, right? So
That's
there's
correct.
Portuguese, maybe Spanish, whatever it may be. If he speaks, well, Portuguese, so he's played in Brazil and he's played in Portugal.
That's correct.
Number 9. Goodness. Who's my number 9s for these mid-table teams? I mean, I'm just thinking, would it be... Does he play for Tottenham?
He does not. His team often wears red and black.
Okay, so he plays for Brentford?
Nope.
For Bournemouth?
Ah.
Okay. I don't know too much about this player, to be honest. And I would definitely question if he would be a star. So... I honestly don't. I really don't know too much about it. I probably haven't heard too much, but although obviously he signed a big fee, right? So he came over from he's probably a player that I've missed completely. It's Evan Nielsen, is that correct?
Correct. And the way that is like Joe Linton is that is one word. Mm-hmm. Evan Nielsen. It's not 2 names. It's one name. Which is why I chose him. And also because he did score a dramatic game-tying goal last weekend for Bournemouth.
Yes, definitely. And he's definitely a player. I'm probably, I hate to say, I probably don't watch Bournemouth as much as I should, although I have watched them, but he's not a player that will come straight to my mind. And especially now when I know him as a number 9, he's a player that I do need to watch. And especially if he's scoring some goals, because I need good strikers on my fantasy team. So there you go.
Exactly. Have you ever been to Bournemouth?
I never have. No.
The town itself, you've never been there?
No, never been to Bournemouth. No. Been to the South Coast a bit. I've been to Brighton a few times in different areas, but never to Bournemouth.
So their derby is against Brighton.
That's a great question. It's hard to say if they're not. Brighton's big derby is against Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace and Brighton, even though they're not really close to each other in terms of, I mean, you could probably say any players on the south, any teams on the South Coast is a derby. It's a bit like a London derby, right? Yeah. So it's like that. So yeah, it's a great question. I'm not sure if Bournemouth really has a true rival. So maybe people who are Bournemouth fans who listen to us, maybe they can put their information on a postcard and send it in to us. I don't know. So
let us know.
Yeah.
All right. In the meantime, it's time for this.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
All right. It's going to be hard to top last week's game, but that's your task.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, there's some good games, and I was looking through. Especially with this week, we've got a bunch of midweek games. Excuse me. Got a bunch of midweek games with EFL Cup. There's actually some good games there. Ironically, Chelsea plays Newcastle again. It's amazing how that happens sometimes when they play them on the weekend and then they have to play in midweek. So you got these midweek games. So you're going to probably see probably a lot of the starters rested for the weekend games. So ultimately, I've got 2 games I think are definitely going to be worth watching. Saturday, definitely tune in to Liverpool versus Brighton. I think that's going to be a really good game just because of how Brighton plays and obviously Liverpool trying to get back into it. But I think it's definitely worth watching. 10:30 kickoff on Sunday. We're going to have to see where they end up. And even though it's my team they're playing, this could maybe be another nail in a coffin, but they also could get that new manager bounce.
Okay.
Which I'm a little worried about.
Yeah.
So I was a lot more happier when Ten Hag was in the seat. But 10:30 on Sunday, Manchester United under new leadership versus my Chelsea, Cole Palmer. See how many goals and things he can create. Did you see that pass he did the other day, by the way?
Unbelievable. The kid's got talent. If you didn't see it, he was in his own half.
Yes.
Got the ball with his back to, the strikers, turned around and sent a ball like 40 yards down the wing. I don't know how he saw that pass.
It was amazing. And the thing is, he doesn't get an assist for that.
Right.
Because Neto came in and slid across. When I was coaching college, sometimes we would have double assists. That to me is a double assist, because he created the opening to then create the second opening for the goal. So, yeah, I think
that's a hockey
amazing
assist.
Stuff. Yes. And some of the stuff he's doing is just, the amount of times he made the Newcastle central defenders, I stopped counting how many times he was doing it. So, and it was fun to watch that with my good friend who's a Newcastle fan. Good win for Chelsea. Well done.
It is sweeter when you watch it with someone who's a fan of the other team, isn't it?
Exactly. But good stuff. Yeah. So, enjoy the game. Yeah, Man United Chelsea, a big good one.
I will say this about Cole Palmer. He has an incredible soccer IQ. Mm-hmm. He seems to, just have a natural knowledge of where to go, what to do. But listening to his interviews, oh boy, he has literally nothing to say at all.
It's one word answers. Yes, no. He's not going to go into that. I can't see him going into management down the road. I'm not seeing that. Could you imagine their team talks?
Yeah.
Can you imagine his team talks? Let's go. Okay. All right. Thanks, coach.
Yeah.
So, but again, young player, still figuring out everything. I think you're going to see a lot of him. I think. That's the thing. If he continues on the same trajectory, you're going to see a lot more interviews, and he's going to have to get better at it. There's no question about it. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, if Chelsea's looking for any media coaching, let me know. I can help. That's one thing I can actually do. All right. Free Kicks is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club, a club that's facing the 70th anniversary in a couple of years here. They've been around forever, and they have teams for 5-year-olds all the way up to over 50, led by Mustafa Edders. Go to greenwhitesoccer.org to find out more information about my favorite club. All right. We have people to thank. We need to thank our executive producer, Tony Lasana, with Opie Shows. Also, thanks to Ed Silla with Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And Adam and I, there's games this weekend, so we'll be back again next week, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll be back next week with another episode of Free Kicks.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?